To do some tie-dyeing, you simply need a white t-shirt, a plastic bowl filled with 500 millilitres of warm water, a jug filled with 250 millilitres of warm water, a dye line tie-dye, and normal table salt. To start off, you simply want to take your dye and you mix it into the jug. Depending on how strong you want the dye is how much dye you actually put in. I put about a quarter of the packet into the jug, and then you simply stir the mixture in. Make sure that it's completely dissolved. You then take another tablespoon and pour in 5 tablespoons of salt into the plastic jug, making sure that it dissolves. Make sure it is only 5 tablespoons and simply just stir the mixture in. Once you have mixed in the dye with the water and the salt, simply stir, and then you know you're ready to enter your piece of clothing. Before putting the garment into the tie-dye mixture, you need to create twists and turns in the fabric and then tighten with an elastic band. Continue this over the whole garment. I have now placed several elastic bands around the t-shirt. You are then able to place it into the dye. When handling the dye, make sure your hands don't touch any of the dye as it can stain. Make sure when you've placed the garment into the dye, use an object or rubber gloves as the dye can stain your hands. Simply stir the garment around, making sure that the whole of it is covered. You're then able to leave it for 15 minutes. As you can see, the t-shirt is completely dyed red. It's now been 15 minutes, so it is able to come out of the dye. I'm now going to take the t-shirt out of the dye and rinse under cold water for several minutes. Make sure that you use gloves while handling the garment. I've now finished rinsing off the t-shirt. I'm now able to let it dry so I'm able to do the finishing touches. We have finished with the tie-dyeing of the red t-shirt and it is now dry. On the base of the t-shirt, I now want to make simply a tassel effect. So I'll take a pair of scissors and cut lines throughout the bottom. When creating the tassels effect, I simply want to measure 10 centimetres up. However, this can be simply to your design. I'm going to simply put a pin so I know where to go to. And then the width of them will be about 1.5 centimetres. So now I can simply cut straight through the t-shirt, trying to get as neat as possible. And then again along 1.5 centimetres width, and therefore I now have one tassel. I now need to do this around the whole of the front and the back of the t-shirt. I now have a fringed base to my bottom of the t-shirt, as you can see. I now want to simply add beads to the fringes so that it will create a jingly effect. When adding the beading, it is quite hard because although I've done them to 1.5, they're still too big. I have this side beads. However, you can pick any sort of beads that you like. So what I simply have to do now is turn the edging of the fringing over so it creates a circle effect, and therefore I should be able to push my beads simply on. I have 5 beads that I'm going to put on each fringe, and then I'll tie them. As you can now see, I've simply added 5 beads, then tied it, and I have a little bit at the base. And I simply need to do this for every single one. It is a very difficult job and frustrating job, but it looks excellent at the end. As you can now see, I've completely finished the beadwork on either side. As I only had a few beads, I decided to leave one fringe of the 3 and then 1 beaded in between each and every one. Therefore it doesn't look too much for the t-shirt. I'm now going to tie-dye a vest top. So again, half a bowl of warm water, 250 millilitres of warm water, tie-dye colour and table salt. I again have scrunched it up and put elastic band around. You then place it into the bowl, and I'm simply just dabbing it down with a spoon to make it go completely under the water. Again, you leave this for 15 minutes. I'm now able to take the yellow vest top out of the dye and again rinse under cold water. I've now rinsed the vest top off and it is now able to dry. Once finishing the vest top tie-dyeing, I therefore want to cut the base off again to make like a crop top. As you can see, I've simply just cut quite a large chunk off the base. So now I can add elastic to the top half so it clings to the body. When adding elastic to a t-shirt, you simply want to have it there on the edge and then turn again, so therefore you can't see the elastic at all, and then simply take a pin and pin into position. Do this the whole way around the t-shirt and then simply sew along the edge, and then you will then have your elasticated effect onto the t-shirt. I've now simply added the elastic to the t-shirt. As you can see the seam, it looks extremely neat on the outside of the t-shirt and is extremely stretchy and therefore can now be worn. I'm now going to take the shorts that I bleached the other day. As you can see, the bleach has taken to the shorts very well. I'm now going to tie-dye them green. Make sure you have your half a bowl of warm water. You will then pour 5 tablespoons of salt into it, and then you have your 250 millilitres of warm water, which then you'll add your green dye to. Depending on how much dye you like, this is up to you, and how much water you add to your jug. As I only put half of the mixture in, I only put 250 millilitres of warm water. I've now completely tied my jeans up and they're now able to be placed into the dye. Remember to always use something to push them down, as you don't want it to get on your fingers as it can stain. There we go. You can now leave that for 15 minutes and check on the development. From the current jeans that I did with the bleaching, I've now tie-dyed. As you can see, they are now green. And I there have a rough edge at the bottom. You are able to turn the edges in. However, due to it being a hippie theme, I want to fray them as much as possible so they look very worn down. And then there you are, a finished pair of shorts. Here are my finished bleached jeans. I'm now going to again scrunch the denim and then put elastic bands around and then put it in some purple tie-dye. I've now scrunched the whole of my jeans completely. So now I can put it in the dye. I've carefully placed the purple dye into the sink. Now place the jeans in, making sure that they completely go underneath the dye. As it's a bigger garment and it's denim, I'm now going to leave this for half an hour and check on the progress. After simply tie-dyeing and bleaching the jeans, now that they're dry, they are completely finished and now can be worn.